Hello, and thank you for joining us. Conversations on NTA. We have a fantastic lineup for you today. I have fantastic ladies in the house. I've got Edith, who is new to the show. Thank you, Edith, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Lizzie won't be joining us here today for, her fans that are out there are wondering, where's Lizzie today? She'll be joining us on another show. Rakiba, you look good today.
Thank you, Nika. You look good yourself.
Now, the word on the street is that you made this outfit yourself.
Yes, I did.
Really?
Yeah.
You cut it up and sewed it. You have a sewing machine in your room or what?
Yes, I'm into fashion designing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me get this right. You are a medical practitioner.
Oh, yes.
You're also more or less a fitness and health expert.
Yes.
And then you make your own clothes.
Yes, I do.
How do you juggle all that? Tell me.
It's all about empowerment.
Empowerment. That brings us to our topic today on Conversations. Why don't we watch this? I'll be right back after this.
Honey,
Yes, darling.
I'm ready to go to work.
You look great this morning.
Thank you so much. Alright, I'll see you later today, okay? Alright.
Bye.
Bye for now. That reminds me. Please, don't forget about my snail pepper soup. I'll be coming in early later in the day.
No problem. You know how I deliciously prepare it for you.
I trust you, I trust you.
But my love, where is the money?
What about the 5,000 naira I gave you early today?
You said. That was for my toiletries.
Toiletries? 5,000 naira for toiletries? How about woman?
Is that why you are screaming?
I'm not screaming.
You promised to take care of me.
And I'm trying to do just that. But 5,000 naira is too much for toiletries.
You've forgotten that you made me leave my job?
Oh, there she goes. There you go again. Every time we have an argument in this house, you keep mentioning that. Anyway, for your information, you are going to be a full-time housewife in this house, okay? By the time I come back, I want my snail pepper soup ready and hot to be consumed. Bye.
I left my job for you, and now you are treating me this way?
From the sandy desert of the north to the great mangrove swamp of the south, there is a national icon that has steadily identified with the Nigerian nation state, bringing you educative information that entertains, galvanizing the people towards national development, unity, understanding, peace, and love. We have inspired the people through decades of thorough professionalism in television broadcasting and undiluted patriotism. With our presence in over 110 cities across the nation, beaming television signals within the continent of Africa and across the Atlantic, the Nigerian Television Authority has indeed come of age. We are still here and even stronger to face the challenges of nation building. NTA. We are Africa's largest television network. You can't beat the reach.
So it's women empowerment today on Conversations. Edith, what is women empowerment to you?
Well, basically it is women being able to carry their own weight. It means you're financially able to do what you want to do, even if it is at a small level. You don't need someone to give you financial help every time. If you're a woman and you have the capacity to at least pay some bills, then you're empowered. So to me, basically, women empowerment starts with your mindset. Can I do stuff for myself? If you can do stuff for yourself, then you're halfway there. And then when you practically do it for yourself, you're empowered. You don't need someone else carrying your weight all the time.
That's interesting. Rakiba, now, for those people who are just joining us, she made this outfit all by herself. Are you making money from making clothes? I know you have a regular job, but you do this as well. So is it a hobby or it makes money for you as well?
Well, I think it's both. It's what I love doing, and yes, I get money from that.
Okay. Is it something that you intend to use to teach others? Do you have a sister or a cousin that's learning under you?
So you have to have passion for you to be able to, you know, go into fashion designing. You have to understand the basics. You have to understand what the client wants, what's in vogue. And you have to keep up with the trend. Yeah, like I said, it's.
Okay. Now, you mentioned what's in vogue. I don't know. What do you think? I know about 5 years ago it was beads making, and more beads making. What do you think women are doing now? What are people learning?
Women are doing a whole lot of stuff. Women are in advocacy. Women are in bead making. I know a young lady that I used to do other stuff with until I started seeing her beads on Twitter and on Facebook, and these are new platforms that young people are using to advertise stuff that they can do even in their living room. And so this gives a lot of opportunity to young people out there that are willing to work with their hands, work with their brains. There's always something to do, and then you do it and you don't have to pay for publicity. The platform is there. I mean, 10 years ago, who would have thought that someone I knew would put something on another platform? And if I had not been on that platform, I would not even know, because she wasn't really advertising. But I just saw, oh, so-and-so creations. And I was like, wow. And then when I saw her the next time, I was like, you did that? She said, yes, Auntie, I do beads as well. But, you know, I don't like to talk about it when we come for these meetings. So it's on Twitter, it's on Facebook. And I said, if I had not stumbled on it, I would not have known. So the opportunities are numerous. You know, it's not just to get a degree and get a job, a white-collar job. That's not the only way you empower yourself. What she's doing is amazing. It's awesome. It's amazing.
It's awesome. There's a saying in Yoruba land where they say "onokon woja." That means there's not just one road into the market. There's so many roads. And then I read somewhere that as an individual, you should have at least 2 or 3 streams of income. So what do you do that empowers yourself, Edith?
A lot of the last 3 years I have spent doing advocacy. But apart from that, advocacy is not a paying job. It is something that's volunteer, and you spend a lot of your time, your treasure, and your talent doing that. But then again, I run a studio. I run a TV production studio. I do independent productions for people. I do my own production. I have a cook show, and there are times that it's been on TV. But you know, you have to go back and forth. You're doing back and forth.
The cooking part is what takes me.
You can do it.
For your cooking skills,
okay.
I need some help. So every now and then, a woman needs to learn a dish or two. You know, you need these kinds of
and I have them on YouTube. So after the show, I'm going to give you my YouTube link.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're on YouTube as well.
Like you said, the social media platforms,
they allow you to do a lot of stuff.
And you can just get so many followers by, you know, just advertising, or, you know, get a friend to refer a friend. And those are the kind of things that are helping women out there right now.
Yeah, social media, yes. Like for me, it was just the starting point. I got my clients, I did my networking through social media. It was Instagram. Once I signed up Instagram, I signed up my branding on Instagram, posted some pictures, and before you know it, people were asking how much is it, where is your shop, I want this. And sometimes you could even do a lot of transactions just via social media. They can order, and then they give you their size and their measurement and everything, and then once it's ready, you just deliver to them, so you don't have to meet one-on-one. So it makes everything easier.
That's awesome. Yeah. I like the fact that, you know, you're doing what you love, and there's passion that's driving you no matter what. So even if you're not really making so much money, you know, you're still doing it. Yeah. Let's talk about advocacy, because, you know, when you say it's something that you do, sometimes I drive through the streets of Abuja and I see one billboard or another, and I see one motivational speaker and then another, and you're wondering, you know, there's a lot. I understand that women are out there to help women, but sometimes some of those motivational talks and everything, you're like, I'm a motivational speaker, you're a motivational, everyone has a little bit about that. A little bit of that aspect in them. But what do you think about, you know, just so many people that claim to be motivational speakers?
Recently, actually, I got into an argument with somebody else. Okay. And the bone of contention was they kept tweeting out that, you know what, stop working regular jobs. Oh, you can get into business, then manage your time properly. And I stepped into the conversation. And the one thing I was talking about was, do not tell the person who needs a 9 to 5 to quit 9 to 5 because you need to pay the bills, you need food on the table, you need the job security. If you're not ready to quit 9 to 5, do not listen to a motivational speaker who told you, I am self-made. Nobody is self-made. We all need the networks that support us. We need people who support us in the fields that we're working. We need to build that. So if you do a 9 to 5, it gives you a chance to build all of these things. So do not let anybody tell you that a 9 to 5 is belittling or it is not needed. You need to do 9 to 5 if you need that step. You can't overlook it. So, I mean, we got into that conversation and the argument came back to, oh, so why are you saying that there are no jobs, we should go and create the jobs? I said, no, it's not that if you see a 9 to 5, you should spit on it or spit in the face of somebody that's doing a 9 to 5. These are jobs that people need to do. These are government jobs. Somebody must do the government jobs. The problem has been that they're not enough. So you have to go out there and do something else. But believe me, if you need your 9 to 5, do not let any motivational speaker tell you to drop your 9 to 5 when you're not holding on to something else. Exactly. It is very crazy. You can't do that.
What are your thoughts about, stay-at-home moms that are looking for ideas on women empowerment? Some of them are like, but I don't know what to do, but I can't do anything, but I haven't learned anything.
The truth is, I think every woman now is being creative.
Yes.
Yes.
Like I know this lady too. I mean, when I was doing my cook show, somebody came up and said, you know what, Edith, you can start making soups for all these Abuja bachelors. And I was like, you know what, I don't know if I can do that. But then somebody else, within 2 weeks, somebody else was doing it.
Exactly.
She was staying in her house. She loves cooking. It's like you're a housewife, but somebody will call you up and say, you know what, I need a 2-liter
and it's not
box of soup, catering, but you're doing it at your own time. Like if he tells you at the weekend, I need 1 pot of stew, 1 pot of egusi, 1 pot of ogbono.
Interesting. Recently, where I live, my estate, Amina Estate, they formed a group called Amina Marketplace. So people advertise what they sell from home. They are all stay-home moms, So they don't like being idle. Everybody wants to be creative. Everybody wants to be empowered. So they post on the page. Some people might make Sunday rice. Yeah. And they'll ask you if you can order for Sunday rice a day before. Yeah. Everybody is trying to be creative. Nobody sits back at home and relax and then wait for maybe the husband to be.
There's a whole new vista with social media.
There is, though.
These new platforms. There's a whole new vista.
You know what comes to mind when you talk about social media? And then I remember the network marketing people. There's some of them that are fantastic, but I feel that they're trying to ram down their idea down your throat. For me, if I'm going to sign up with you, that's fantastic. But I think some of them are a bit too aggressive. And I guess it's empowerment, yes.
Is it the ones that call you up and tell you they want to sell so-and-so to you? Or is it the ones that come onto your page and want to leap onto your page and take it over? Yeah, I'm having that experience right now. I do have a page. And at a point in time, actually, but with the prompting of the Facebook management page, of course, they want you to, you can do this, you can do this. You have so many, you have 5,000 followers. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? So, of course, I now opened the MY Studio page. And before I could say Jack Robinson, people were selling face cream, people were selling homemade teeth cleaning products. And, I once in a while, I have to go there and do house cleaning. And, so much stuff. And you also have to be on the alert because there are people who come there and put stuff that you are not looking for at all. You also have to be on the lookout for that. There are people who are on the social media just to put all kinds of stuff, and you have to know how to control, how to report. So you manage your page yourself, and then you probably have another person that's an admin. So you have control of that space. If not, they're putting really terrible stuff, including porn. So you have to.
That a friend of mine had to shut his page down totally because he wasn't checking his page so often, and then he had people posting things that were just inappropriate content, and so he had to shut down his page for a while, do some house cleaning like you mentioned before coming back on social media. Okay, so Edith, you mentioned cooking and making pots of soup for bachelors. I know my husband, he's not going to agree to that kind of thing. So please give me some tips on that. I love to cook, and I would like to do it on a more professional scale, but I know for a fact you won't agree.
Well, if you're holding down a job that takes a lot of your time, like bankers, a lot of bank ladies that are in the banking sector, they have a hard time keeping down a home and then satisfying all the needs of the home and then satisfying all the needs of the job as well. And believe me, they've had to sit down and have conversations with their husbands, you know. You know what? Do we need both incomes? If we do you think that there's an alternative to what I'm doing? If there isn't, and I need to hold this bank job, for instance, because it's one of the most difficult sectors. I can also tell you that working with a TV station is another difficult sector. Yes, you have very unusual hours, right? But you know, you have to have the conversation first of all, and you have to come to a place of understanding. And maybe once in a while, he will agree to you to take in a pot of soup from someone else, you know, just so the family doesn't go hungry. But then you have to, you know, work on creating some family time. And when you're doing that, maybe you can all just chip in and do the cooking. Okay. Somebody can scrub the carrots, another person can chop them, another person can chop the onions. Yeah, you can team up, and then over the weekend, if you have one free day, you can now quickly cook one big pot of jollof rice that could last a few days. Yeah. You don't have to eat all at the same time. You know, so that kind of thing. But it has to come from a place of understanding. And I can assure you that there are no families in Nigeria that can do. The average families all need multiple streams of income. So both parents have to be
This brings me to my next question. A wife and a husband. The husband doesn't want her to work anymore. And he's like, you know what? Whatever it was that you were being paid out there, I will pay you. Is the woman being empowered? What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, to a certain extent, she is being empowered.
But and they don't keep to that.
Wait, yeah, yeah.
They don't keep to that.
They meaning the men.
Yeah,
yes, the men
he's going to give you. He's going to give you a salary that is equivalent to what you were earning. Yes. He wants you at home.
Yes.
Well, smart women. I know one woman. Okay, she took her money, put it in the bank, and when it grew to a certain amount, she bought a piece of land. And she told somebody else to go and build up a few rooms, room and parlor, that still she's making money. So she's taking his money, she's building up little spaces that are accommodating small families or single people. This is something that is really needed in Abuja, and she's doing it, and he gave her the money.
So, yes.
So she's a landlady, and she's sitting pretty.
And she's empowered.
And she's empowered. So, you know, once you make up your mind, you can do it.
So do you think if the husband gives the wife money, she's empowered?
Of course.
Or she has to rough it and get the money herself?
Of course, she is. But like I said, most of them might not keep to that. They might start giving you, and at the end of the day, will be like, what do you need the money for? But if he is going to keep it to his words, if he's going to be giving her that salary, I think it's a form of empowerment. Like she said, she could have someone doing, you know, running the business for her or whatever it is she wants to do with the money. And I think she's being empowered.
This brings us to women who are not empowered for one reason or another, like the widows. But hold your thoughts, we'll be right back after this. This is Conversations on NTA. Let's watch this.
Growing up in Tanzania, I've lived in rural areas and I've also lived in urban. And I think for the women, for the widows in rural areas, it's a lot more difficult because they don't have a lot of income. They are not, you know, they don't have a lot of people or the structure to protect them as much. They don't have jobs. Most of them are just farmers. So it makes it very difficult, and people can just come in and take advantage of them because they know they are vulnerable and there's not much that they will do. So it's difficult for widows in rural areas, especially if they are uneducated and unemployed. But in urban areas, I think because most widows have jobs, or at least they have some income, it's a lot more different because they have some sort of freedom. They have earned like this financial freedom, and so it's not easy to manipulate them or just take advantage of them easily.
Widowhood in my community, it's just like if the woman is from my community if her husband is late, she's not treated nice at all. But if she's from another state and her husband is late, like, they won't even have the mind to come meet her. Like, you know, all this widow stuff, property of his stuff. If the husband is rich, they'll be like, the property is for us. They can do that to only if the woman is from that community. But if she's not, they can't even try it. They know everything about her. They know how she can behave, something like that. But somebody that is that is not from that community, they'll be like, this one is a stranger. Maybe she has all these winches all over that. If they can't even talk to her like that. They can't even talk to her anyhow, even if her husband is late. The treatment they are giving to them is very bad if their husbands are not alive. Usually when their children are still kids, they treat them like the children have no say. It's just the woman alone. So they take, especially if the husband is rich enough, they take the property from her. But if the husband has nothing, they'll just allow her stay on her own, and they won't even take care of the children at all. So the woman has to struggle for herself to take care of the kids.
I feel like widows are not paid attention to. They're not paying enough attention. They're literally abandoned. And they're like, since they're widows, they're just there. Nobody cares about how they feed, how they're taken care of. It's just little organizations that pay attention to their little needs, what they need, how they eat, how they live on. And they're basically just abandoned.
Most times, or sometimes rather, they are not treated well. Maybe when their husband dies, they have relatives coming in to struggle property, and then it's always hard for them to raise their children on their own because they have to double their hustle with no male support. And I think that's not right. I think maybe they should have something like a widows organization, if there is something like that already. I don't know, but maybe something like that, maybe a group that could give them strength and call them together, and maybe they could sort one or two things out. But I don't really know anything more about that because I don't have any.
So in my community, the whole culture has eventually mixed with religious belief. So, and in the religion most of them practice in that community is Islam. So Islam has given set rules for those. Most of them try to follow those rules. They don't have, they've given set rules on how to deal with widows. Immediately the man dies, how many days she stays to mourn, then how to share the property, because property is the basic issue that comes up when a man dies. Everybody wants a share in the property. So the religion has set down rules on how many percentage the wife owns, then how many percentage the children owns. So it's then, if you see one or two mishaps, challenges, or maybe it's from that family.
Gone are the days, where way back we learned or we heard that they used to always, deal with them when their husbands die and all that. But these days, I think it's a different ball game. It's been long I haven't heard that anyone was dealt with or was treated in a funny way. But I think these days, I think they are treated well.
All the same, there's still a lot that we need to do to protect them, to make sure that they have their rights, and especially when it comes to property ownership, that they retain the right to own properties. And it has to start with legislation, because most of the laws that we have in most countries in Africa, even in Tanzania, the laws that are not there. They're not there to protect that woman or anyone who has lost a spouse, and they need to claim the properties and all that stuff.
If I hear anybody that wants to take over anybody's property, I think I will fight for that person.
I know my mother very well. She just wants to know what you're up to, who are you with, and all that.
From the sandy desert of the north to the great mangrove swamp of the south, there is a national icon that has steadily identified with the Nigerian nation state, bringing you educative information that entertains, galvanizing the people towards national development, unity, understanding, peace, and love. We have inspired the people through decades of thorough professionalism in television broadcasting and undiluted patriotism. With our presence in over 110 cities across the nation, beaming television signals within the continent of Africa and across the Atlantic, the Nigerian Television Authority has indeed come of age. We are still here, and even stronger to face the challenges of nation building. NTA, we are Africa's largest television network. you can't beat the rich.
You're back. The ladies are in the conversation room and we're talking about women empowerment. And at this point, we'd like Edith to tell us about widows and empowerment. What are your thoughts?
Seriously, I worry when we say we want to categorize widows because of their status now as people who are not empowered. Most are. It's just that sometimes cultural norms tend to take away what they had before the husband died. But then there are those who are fighting through. Most of the people I know are fighting through the cultural barriers that want to keep a widow down, take what she has, take what her children are supposed to have, and you know the system, you know, is allowing some people who hitherto were able to speak up, to to say more, to do more.
Which is what I'm saying, that sometimes a financially, well, maybe not financially, she's very well educated as a wife. All of a sudden she loses her husband and they're like, no, well, you have to scrape your head and you have to stay home for a year. And you know, there's something that it does to the woman. Sometimes you lose your sense of self-esteem. You can't go out, you can't dress up the way you normally do. They're like, no, you need to dress down and tone down. Yes, I agree with mourning for a certain period of time, but society expects you to just be down and downcast for a long period of time. Where I come from, it's for a whole year.
All right, I know that women have come up and there are many civil society groups too that are working to help women overcome such difficult times. You know, it's a tragedy on two levels. First, you've lost a loved one, someone who is close to you, the father of your children. Then secondly, you have to struggle through some traditions and norms. And these are really depressing times for most women. But women are able to form now networks that help. And if before now you were working, that would help, because there would be no reason why you would stay at home for a year. If you were already a working woman, the most you would do is probably stay at home for 3 months. And healing time, different people heal in different ways. For somebody, it might be throwing yourself back into the job. Yes. But then again, there's those at the very low end of the spectrum. Yes. My grandmother used to take care of, way back in the 70s. She was not educated, but there was a social system then in Nigeria, in Plateau State to be precise, where there was a social welfare system. My grandmother had we had some free rooms in my grandfather's house where she could take care of like 4 or 5, 6 children, and whatever was cooked for the entire family, she would share with these orphans that she was taking care of, and the government was paying a stipend. There was such a system in existence in Nigeria before. So such systems can come back, even if through corporate social responsibility. If you're a widow and you have a homestead and now you don't have income, but you're on that spectrum. For instance, that is something you could do. You could take in a few more children and then the government will help you, and then that will spread. That will help take off the burden. That will take the burden off of you. You don't need a degree to do that. You don't need to my grandmother was not educated, but she was a very powerful person in the society because she always asked for what she wanted. And when the government gave her these children, a lot of people were like, why would you come and add somebody else's children to your already 9 children? She said, no, I mean, if I'm taking care of 9, I can take care of 6 more. And it really worked. And there are some of those children today grown up that I call aunties. They never left the household, even when that system collapsed. They never left. So there are things out there like that we could do that will empower women on that spectrum. You could fry granules, you could make akara. Yeah. All of these things, they help keep a family unit together. You can never overlook what you can do with your hands if you just have a little space to do what you can do.
You know, when you mentioned frying akara, I had a flashback on the way to my mother's village. My mom is from Ilesha in Osun State. There's a woman that fries akara on the way there, and I heard that she used that same akara money, the profit from akara, to send her children to university abroad. you know, and she's doing well. You see her, she's still frying that akara, I don't know, 20, 30 years later, but she's empowered her children even through frying akara.
You see? And you know, there's that other example of the lady last year that contributed to the campaign fund. She contributed she contributed ₦1 million. And she has passed on. God rest her soul. She reminded me of my own grandmother. Because, I mean, where did she get ₦1 million from? You understand what I'm saying? Try getting ₦1 million from the bank today. You'll see the paperwork you would have to do to get ₦1 million. Yeah, and she gave the ₦1 million away. I mean, that is so amazing. And she made that just by making, what was it, masa?
Masa, yeah.
This
you
is,
know masa?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Made from rice, the rice cake. Yeah, the rice cake.
I realized that's where her money...
That ₦1 million that she gave to the campaign fund came from making masa by the roadside.
And you know, when you believe in something so strongly, you know, and she just gave that money.
Just give yourself if you're passionate about it, you know, it grows in leaps and bounds. Also, your heart has to be in it. Originally, I was told I was going to be a doctor. I was like, seriously, a doctor? Well, they tried, they pushed me. I did pure science, I did that. And then when I got to university, I actually had to drop out that first time. I actually dropped out of school because my parents kept insisting that, you know what, you're a doctor. Then I said, I'm not a doctor. They said, okay, you're a pharmacist. I'm not a pharmacist. I applied to go to dance school. Yeah. I applied to go to dance school. Wow. My mom went crazy. You understand? And she shut that down. And I said, you know what, I'm an artist by nature. But I did pure science in O levels. And you know what? When I dropped out that first time, when I was going back the second time, I just walked into the Department of Mass Communication and picked up a form. And it was out of her hand, my parents' hands. I mean, they couldn't do anything. But at O levels, I did pure science.
Wow.
In my own case, I wanted to study medicine, actually. Yeah, even back in school. It started with, I wanted to be a pilot when I was about 8 years old. And people were like, no, pilot, you can't fly a plane. Ladies don't do that. Even as at that age, I was meant to believe ladies don't fly planes. So I was like, okay, so let me switch to medicine. After my work and everything, I went to school, and then the friends I had all were doing social sciences. And medicine was just too, I felt it was too rigid. It was just too, you don't have time to relax,
yeah, you have
enjoy.
To study and study and study.
But it was something I had wanted to do even back then. So I was like, am I going to be able to, you know, keep my friends and then study in school? So it was just something that I had to, you know, decide on my own. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to do this. And I studied physiotherapy in school. Yeah. I didn't go for medicine, I went for physiotherapy because like I gave a story before, I got my motivation from my dad. My dad had an accident, he was being treated by a physiotherapist, and that was why I got, I was the motivation, to study physiotherapy. And so far so good. It's been an amazing journey. I have no regrets so far. And then the fashion designing came into play.
How long have you been doing that?
Having my own brand.
Yeah, the fashion designing, how long?
About 2 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've always had a passion for fashion, even back then in school. I didn't compromise when it comes to my outfit. I love dressing people up.
Yeah,
you just have an occasion and I'll be like, no, let me choose this for you.
Okay.
This goes with this, this goes with this. And so when I came here, when I had the opportunity to start my own fashion line, I went into it. And so far, alhamdulillah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You see, we can all do what we are passionate about, and out of it comes empowerment. Seriously.
Yeah, I have a story that's similar to yours. I always thought I'd be a doctor, and I was studying science. I ended up reading biology as my first degree, and for some odd reason, I was on campus one day. I followed a friend of mine into a radio station, and honestly, the rest of it is history.
Yeah,
I ended up talking for life. So I guess that's my own empowerment story.
Yeah, we all follow our hearts really in the end.
We always want more. We're expecting the guy to do so much more. And it's pressure for the guys at work. You're wondering, okay, should I do some other things just to make money, to make this woman happy? I think our expectations sometimes for Nigerian women is a bit high.
You're right.
I do not want to see a single Nigerian child on the street when you're off school.
even though I'm not there. But I think I should have it.
You're sounding like a counselor.
I think one of the times, you know, what if I go into this one? What if he breaks my heart just one more time?
No, I know my mother very well. She just wants to know what you're up to, who are you with, and all that.
So what are your thoughts about women helping women or women against women, especially when it comes to widowhood practices?
Well, seriously, I'm divided on this issue because there are times when women can really be supportive. And as I said, when somebody says, I'm self-made, or I did this, or I did that, there's always a support base somewhere. Somebody must have helped you along the way. And there are women now who are very empathetic to the issues of widows because they have been through it and they want to break the vicious circle. And these are women that are enlightened. They know that, you know what, if it has happened to me, I can stop it from happening to the next person. Then, of course, on the other side of the scale, there's somebody who says, you know what, it's not going to stop on me. Since it happened to me, it has to happen to the next person. So, you know, there is a battle going on. For us to move forward, for those who actually say, you know what, if it has happened to me, let it just continue. It can't happen to me and stop. And for me, those people need to be counseled. Because if it has happened to you and it's bad, naturally, by law of nature, it's supposed to be that if it has happened to me and it's bad, then it shouldn't happen to the next person.
Because it's the women that are saying, cut your hair. It's the women that are saying, no, stay in the same room with your dead husband, or the water that used to wash his body is what you drink.
Actually. Women are the enforcers.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Because if other women stand their ground, for instance, if somebody dies today in a village where there are some very horrible traditions and all the women rise up and say, you know what? This widow is not going down alone. If you want everybody, if you want her to cut her hair, we are all cutting our hair. I mean, whoever is the enforcer, if it is the men who have passed this down, the men will have to sit back and say, you what? Like, I'm not dead, you want to cut your hair? No, it's not going to happen. So, you know, people just tend to forget that the power lies with us.
Yes, it does though.
The power to stop something lies with the individuals. If 2-3 people rise up today and say, you know what, let's stop female genital mutilation, it's going to stop. But people don't want to speak up. People are afraid to speak up. They say, I can't, how can I?
Because, Edith, people are thinking, well, if I stand up against it, then you're being rude. You're standing against the culture that brought you up, like the tradition,
the society. We need to be educated about a lot of things.
Education helps too. And, you know, in the end also, even though we exist as individuals, my 3 years of advocacy, I've been advocating for the release of the Chibok girls, actually. When I keep talking about 3 years of advocacy, that's what I've been doing in the past 3 years, and it's an ongoing advocacy. In these 3 years, women have been the champions of this advocacy, but we would not have gone anywhere without the men that supported us. A lot of men came out and supported us, and that has been the backbone of what we are doing. They have helped in this. The women stand up and march and talk and say, you know what, bring back these girls. But in the end, we needed the support of a community. We had to form a community that had men, women, young people with ideas, young people who can tweet on, who can stay on a tweet handle and tweet 100 tweets about an issue. I mean, they will tweet at the president, tweet at the minister, tweet at this, tweet at that. You know, these are the kind of things that we need to change customs like what people do to widows, the horrible customs concerning widows. But someone has to stand up and say, you know what, enough. As I said, the example I've given you is something that I've learned from these years of advocacy. Somebody has to stand up and say, you know what, enough.
Enough. So it starts with me, it starts with you, it starts with you. Are you very active on social media, like Twitter, using Twitter as an advocate?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Platform?
I follow the Chibok girls' pictures. Oh, wow. And I can say kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I mean, so, you know, I really feel for widows in this society. But, you know, somebody has to be passionate enough. And I think I remember the actress that has been doing work, and she even did a movie after she lost her husband. I think that would be Stephanie, I think. I'm not sure, I can't remember her name fully, but I think she went through a whole lot of drama, and then she had to stand up. She did a movie about what she went through, and then she's been advocating for quite a while now. That is the kind of thing we need. And if you're down there and there's somebody up there who has a voice, they can amplify the pain that those who cannot speak up, you know, are going through, because you up here, you've gone through it. You can just speak up, and when you speak up, the world listens. Really, when you speak, the world listens. I just discovered that in this past 3 years.
Yeah, some people feel that, well, my voice isn't loud enough, you know, I'm just one person out of so many. But, you know, there's strength in numbers.
There'd be like a forum for them to speak.
Yeah, and there's strength in numbers, you know, if you're doing it and I'm doing it and someone else is doing it, you know.
It forms a big chain, you know, it's just little drops of water that forms the ocean. Yes. So, I mean, there are so many things out there that women are going through that stops you from being empowered, or when you're empowered, takes away the empowerment. But there are also people who speak out every day and say, you know what, women have to be empowered. They're half the population. You can't clap with one hand. You need the other hand to clap. If women are half the population, then the women should be side by side with the men. Empowerment should be real for the woman, because a man can go down anytime and it will be the woman holding the children. So really, you can't clap with one hand. You need both sides of the population. If half the population is women and the other half is men, we need both sides of the coin working together. And you know what? When you talk, the world listens.
Exactly. You know, like the Malakis, Pakistani lady who got shot in the head for going to school. That didn't stop her from achieving her goals in life.
That's true.
That made her an advocate for girl child education. So I believe it doesn't matter. No matter wherever you are, no matter who you are, you should just speak out. There might be people willing to listen to you at any time.
That's true. And to the men that are watching Conversations today, we need you to help us as well. If you're out there, a well-meaning man, and you really want to help your wife, your better half, it's very important to have a will notarized, something that can stand up in court, so that you know that you're actually handing something over to your family. You know, there's so many instances of no will at all, or they can't prove that it was actually written by the man. So many issues like that.
Yeah, and also, while you're doing a will, you should teach your wife to be a fighter. If she's going to have to stand in court to defend that will, you should show her what it takes to do that. You could write a will and leave it with a lawyer, and so family members will go and tell the lawyer, you know what, we're going to give you so and so and so, and you kill this will. She doesn't even know it exists sometimes. So if you do that for your wife or for your family, you're not doing it for her alone, you're doing it for your family. If you do that, then you should empower her. Empowerment again, right? You should tell her all the steps, all the necessary steps. She should be in the know, so that if she even has to go to court to defend this will, she would have the power and the know-how to do that.
So should the man tell the wife what's in the will, or that there's just a will?
Depending on the issue. Are there trust issues? If he's leaving a will and he's leaving most of what he has to her, then I don't see where the problem is. He can tell her what is in the will, or he can tell her how to make this will work for her in case anything happens. He doesn't have to tell her the content of the will, but he should assure her that in case something happens, this will is there to protect you and protect the children.
The will issue, sometimes even when the will is written, the family members, even when she's aware of it, she doesn't get to, you know, get a grab of it when he passes away or something like that.
Yeah.
There's always, you know, some conundrums and all that happens behind closed doors once the person passed away, even when you have the knowledge, but you have to have a proof. That's where the issue comes.
Yeah, well, that's why I keep saying it should be a partnership. If he's doing a will, she should be aware. She should have the power to fight if there's need to fight. Women have to be fighters, seriously.
True.
We work twice as hard
True.
to prove ourselves, and then we have to be fighters. And when I say fighter, it's not like, you know, martial arts or anything. You're a spiritual fighter, you know, your spirit has to be strong, you're grounded.
True, true.
You fight on every level to get to that level where, you know what, I am in control of my own destiny. You understand? Well, you've not handed over the reins of your life to someone else. Yeah, but to do. Yes.
For what belongs to you.
Yeah. So any man listening to our conversation today and wondering, oh wow, maybe I should do a will, what's a good age to start doing that process? 35, 40, 45?
Some will say
okay, and you know what? It is so funny when we don't, you for me, I don't think a woman brings up that kind of conversation. Exactly. It has, you must marry someone that, you know what, you probably would start the conversation would be, you know, if I die, why do I want to assume that you're the one, that the man is going to die before me? Supposing I die today, you know, this little thing that we have going, how is it going to be? What will be the fate of my children? Will you bring a woman that's going to make my children her slaves? Blah, blah, blah. These are the kind of conversations that start this kind of thing. So you're talking about yourself now. So he probably has to give you answers, and he has to do some soul searching. So then the next step is, he should tell you what he wants you to do if he dies. Because you have started the conversation of, what if I die today? So it's not, nobody knows who dies first.
And it's not a bad thing
so,
to talk
yeah,
about.
you have to have the conversation. So you have your children to worry about. So it's the woman, though, if the woman really wants to have some control on what happens in case, she has to start that conversation. She has to say, if I die. Because nobody says the man's going to die before me. So what if I die today? What's going to happen? That is a good conversation.
I wish we had 3 more hours to talk about this topic. There's just so much that we can learn from. Thank you, Edith, for coming in on Conversations.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so nice, and I really love this outfit. You guys are popping. I feel like an old woman beside the both of you. Thank you for having me, really.
Thank you to all of you that have joined us today in the Conversation Room. Remember, you can join the conversation on any of our social media platforms. My name is Nike once again, and see you next time.